Oh, we'll be traveling some of the same roads.
Yeah,
And then hit the start button, it takes about 45
I'm happy that there's no snowstorm in the
No,
forecast.
there's nothing. I mean,
so.
it looks beautiful.
Denise, you ready? Okay.
All right, it is now recording.
Okay, we're gonna open the floor up to public comment. On the list today is Jody Bebo. So Jody, you wanna come up and have a seat and tell us what your thoughts are?
I'm Jody Bebalt. I've lived in Long Prairie approximately 55 years. I'm originally from Todd County, and I have several questions for you today. My first point is, will you or when will you consider bringing our employees back to working in office? And what type of system do you have in place to verify that these employees are working their 40 hours per week? I believe, in my own experience, that it is unfair to our county residents having to try to conduct their business on the phone. And so I'd like you to consider having those employees return to the office. It is also unfortunate when you come up here and there's so few occupying the desks. It has to trickle down to how many people are keeping the building clean and how many are getting paid that are, there has to be fewer opportunities for people to put in, like maintenance and things like that, with not having a full staff on board. My second point that I want to ask about is, have you interviewed any of the people who occupy the Second Avenue apartments that were built by D.W. Jones? Ask them how their living conditions are. If the management comes more than once a year, the up top management, how many people have moved in and out and under what circumstances? Just ask some of the people who are there. I beg you to do that. I know that some of the residents in that area have gone to the city about the changes that were made in the plans when that building was built and have said, is it going to happen over here too? Are they telling us one thing and doing something else? So I implore you to do some research before you give a blanket go ahead for that project. Then my next point of concern is that project. I know that I'm not a lawyer and you are not a lawyer, but if I understand right, a TIF is a way of getting a break on taxes. And I do not believe in my heart that this project is eligible or should be eligible for a TIF for many, many reasons. Part of one of those reasons is, have you or any of us in Todd County had proof that the people who live in this, or will be living, thank you, will be living in this apartment building actually do spend money in our town? Do they go to other towns, other Walmarts, other shopping centers? Do they actually spend money in our town? And does D.W. Jones or Long Prairie Packing American Foods Group, do they live in our town, in our county? Do they spend any money in our town, in our county? And my final point is, what's going to happen to our county seat? When American Foods Group takes over Long Prairie, when we are no longer Long Prairie, is our Todd County seat going to be able to remain in Long Prairie? Question yourself about that, because I don't see anyone from American Food Groups living in Todd County. And they say that it's going to help by having this building built in our town, because we're going to have all that extra money. So in my eyes, it's someone is getting money to be able to put that building in here. I've heard the comment was made, if we don't let them come, they're going to pull up and leave. And then what will we be? So ask yourself today, what will we be? What will we be if they leave? We're dying now with them here. Our town is a mess. I beg you, do not give them a TIF. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
And Jody, I'll have the coordinator talk to you about the employees in the office. She'll address that issue with you, so. same.
Right. It's camaraderie. It's fun. You know, going up there.
Okay, got a minute here. All right. Good morning, Todd County. Welcome to Tuesday, November 21st, 2023, the Todd County Board of Commissioners regular board meeting. Today, we have present Commissioner Denny, Commissioner Becker, Commissioner Noska, Commissioner Newman, along with Auditor Treasurer Gaida, Coordinator Pelzer, and the county attorney is not present yet, but I'm assuming he'll be here. So with that, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Once again, good morning, everybody. Is there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to add 5.6, adding the facilities, Mitch Johnson, to the agenda for fairground fencing.
Okay. Is there any other additions? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve, please.
So moved, Mr. Chair, for approval.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Noska. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Consent items.
Consent items today are meeting minute approval November 7th and 13th for 2023. Gambling permit Staples Sportsman's Club 3/9/24. Gambling permit Eagle Bend Area Development Corp. 4/14/24. Hire Jeremy Puff for full-time deputy, start date to be determined. Hire Jeremy Pappy for part-time deputy, start date 12/4/2023. Accept Jeremy Pappy resignation for full-time deputy 12/3/2023. Resignation support enforcement aide Rico Rivera 11/27/23. Hire care coordinator Angela Schlecker, start date 11/22/2023. And hire Aria Dawn, full-time correctional officer, start date to be determined.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
First item I have today is to approve the commissioner warrants. Background was sent for review. The recommendation is to approve the commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling the amount of $63,675.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Denny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. If none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Noska?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item I have is the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service Commissioner warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $109,516.23.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
Motion for approval?
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Noska. Discussion. If none, roll call vote.
Commissioner Becker?
Yes.
Commissioner Noska?
Yes.
Commissioner Denny?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Thank you. The next item we have then is the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants. Background is sent for review. Recommendation is to approve the Health and Human Service SSIS warrants with an ACH and a manual payment totaling in the amount of $113,188.11.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion. If none, roll call.
Commissioner Nasca,
Yes.
Commissioner Denny,
Yes.
Commissioner Becker,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman.
Yes.
The next item I have today is a repurchase of a tax forfeited parcel. Background is Dean A. and Laura M. Wysocki ownership of parcel 32-00197000 forfeited to the state of Minnesota for non-payment of property taxes on October 13th, 2023. Laura M. Wysocki has filed an application as a formal request to repurchase parcel 32-00197000 to restore the ownership of the parcel to the Wysockis according to the provisions allowed in Minnesota Statute 282.012. The recommendations are to approve the attached resolution for the repurchase of the tax forfeited parcel 32-00197000. And I do have the resolution attached as well. It's just reinstating their ownership. Of course, they had to pay all the back taxes and fees that applied to it as well, but
Okay. You've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Danny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
the next item I have today is a resolution to provide Todd County's statement of position regarding tax increment financing plan for establishment of TIF District Number 1-17, 4th Street Apartments as an economic development workforce housing district. The background on this, Minnesota Statute 469.176 requires that Todd County provide a statement of position regarding proposed tax increment finance districts classified as an economic development workforce housing district. The City of Long Prairie has notified the Auditor Treasurer that the new TIF district of workforce housing is being considered, which requires Todd County's response. Your options are to adopt the attached resolution or do not adopt. Some background that I'd like to give before moving forward is there's a little bit of history to this. I received a letter from Eilers, which is the public finance advisors to Long Prairie City, that this tax increment was coming through on October 16th. At that time, the letter stated there was some conflict with scheduling. It was pushed out, the TIF meeting, to December 4th. In between that time, under this statute, I've done extensive research with the state of Minnesota. Jason Nord, who's a expertise on TIF district, has worked in it for many years. Workforce housing is a very new program. There really is only a half a dozen of these workforce TIF districts in the state of Minnesota. And this is one of the only ones, and I shouldn't say few, this is the only one where board and school board have to give prior approval. The problem, this is coming after the fact to you, is that I planned on bringing it to a work session in November, then bringing it a board. In the meantime, the school district jumped on it right away. They had a board meeting. They voted it down. At that point, to me, it became null and void because one party already voted it down. But legality-wise, I'm still bound because I've not received anything from the City of Long Prairie or Eilers stating anything different. Now, I have talked to Ted Gray, the city administrator, yesterday, and he stated that this is no longer on the plan. Well, that's fine, but I don't have anything in writing. So I'm asking you as a board that to keep legal with the statute 469.176, subdivision 4C, paragraph D, county board must approve or deny by resolution that we follow through with an action submitting this to Eilers, keeping it legal on our end of the recourse. That's my opinion as Auditor Treasurer.
Okay.
I will leave the rest of this board action up to you guys. It isn't after the fact. Like I said, the school board jumped on it, voted it down. Now the plan, my understanding is the plan is the city is a different way they're going. This is no longer on their books as wanting a TIF district.
Okay. What's the wishes of the board? You want to have discussion first or just ask for a motion to deny or approve?
I think we should, and I can make a motion to deny based on the voting of the school boards.
Okay, so we have a motion by Becker to deny for the since the school already denied it.
We just not support in the.
No support in the modification of the TIF district.
I'll second that. I believe we can support our school district here and follow through with that.
Okay, and we have a second by Nazca. Discussion. So this is a little hard on the board because this is actually a District 3.
I get that.
It is a District 3 issue, and we will, we'll vote on it, but, yeah.
Well, stay tuned. I'm sure there's more to come from what my understanding from the city. I'm just saying that this
This
is an
is
after
just-
the fact item because everybody else took their steps prior to the December. It was conflict of, if you read that letter that I sent you from Eilers, it's, meetings got changed and,
Okay.
yeah, so.
All right, any further discussion? If none, I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote. And-
Commissioner, oh, sorry.
Okay.
Commissioner Becker,
Yeah, I vote yes for denial.
Commissioner Nazca,
Yes.
Denny,
Yes.
and Newman.
Yes,
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Oh, man. I have to grab Mitch's stuff.
5-6, Mitch, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Or Mitch.
There you go. Sorry about
There
that.
she be.
Okay, so just to start over, the topic for the agenda is the north fencing at the fairgrounds. The background is the facility committee is recommending the replacement of the north fencing at the fairgrounds due to storm damage in early October. Bids were submitted with the lowest bid being from RJ Construction for a total of $10,760.22 to replace the fencing. The options are to approve the low bid from RJ Construction for a total cost of $10,760.22 or to do not approve request. The recommendation to the board is that we approve the low bid from RJ Construction for a total cost of $10,762.22. I'd just like to read in the comment section, we did receive insurance from MCIT in the amount of $9,330.51, and the remainder will be paid from the improvement portion, so.
All right. You've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Danny. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Nazca. Discussion.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Mitch, how far will that fence go? Everything that's blowing down, or where are we
It
going
will be
with
the
it?
entire fence will be redone. The posts that are bad, there's some damage further down where it's pulled away from the actual posts themselves where the purlins are pulled away. So the fence will be redone, leveled off, and new. However, in attempt to sure it up before the winter, there is a possibility, we're hoping to do some of this work beforehand. We're gonna start in the damaged area and work our way to the area that's currently still standing. We're hoping to complete it all this winter, but we would sure like to get the gate portion that is blowing down and the portion that is blowing down up for significant use if there is some use this winter.
Are they still going with the sliding?
We're going with a wheeled gate. It will have fencing on it, and then we'll have a lock and a post next to it, so we can lock it or chain it open and then lock it back shut. So yeah, that's what we're going with this time. We feel that's a better system than the roller gate, just simply because the rollers don't get used very often. They tend to rust into place, and receive kind of minimal use, especially that gate in general. So that's why we went with a different option. So the roller adding will, you know, be in support of the fence, would possibly add 2 rollers, so.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mitch. Okay, Egg Society. David.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So I'll just give you guys some time to look over the financial report. If there's any questions, maybe I can answer them for you, since I'm not the treasurer.
Just pull the
but-
microphone up a little closer to you, David.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
Okay.
I guess the fair was a success this year, I think.
Okay.
Had pretty good attendance. I think we're making constant strides and improvements to try and make it better and more attracting for people to come to. I don't know what else to say, really.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chair, if I could just ask a question, this is a bad mic. David, it might be, that one's bad too, I think. It might be helpful to know if you are planning on doing the winter derby?
Yep. We're planning on doing the winter one again, so we're gonna meet here beginning of the month, and then we'll come back and ask for dates, and tentatively it's scheduled for January 20th. I think the date has already been coordinated with the office or whatever, so.
Okay.
I guess on one question on this fence with the gate, are the gates gonna be solid so you can't look through them, or is it gonna be like a chain link gate?
That is correct on the solid gate. It was metal before, or tin, if you will. It will be metal again, so you cannot see through the gate.
Okay,
It'll be roughly about 7'6" tall, so obviously you won't be able to see.
okay.
Okay. All right, any questions on the board?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. David, do you know when the fair's going to be in '24, or have you?
Yes, it's gonna
that
be the
date?
last weekend in June,
Okay,
so then dates will be.
Chair, if I may.
Yep.
I sat on the fair board with David and the whole crew there, and I just like to extend a thank you to you guys, because I see all the work that goes on behind the scenes, and you know, there's a lot of thankless job there that nobody sees, that, you know, to put that fair on. A lot of time goes into it, a lot of effort goes into it, and these guys do a fantastic job of it. So I'd like to say thank you to the fair board, to the Egg Society for that.
Good.
So them dates will be the 27th through the 30th
Of June.
of June, yes.
If I may, Deb did call up and reserve them already, and her comment was it's due to leap year. So that extra
Oh.
week sets it off, because I said the same thing, June. So, yeah,
No,
that's
with-
why.
With carnival bookings, that's what
Yeah.
that's what we get, so.
And there's getting to be fewer carnivals, aren't there?
What's that?
As far as carnivals, there's getting to be fewer of them?
Yes,
Right?
yes, yeah. I think there was already this year, there's one less coming to the state that has previously come, so it's getting harder. There's 80-some counties fighting for,
Okay.
you know, carnivals, and there's already some that don't have carnivals, and
Mm-hmm. All right, no, the financials look good. Looks like you had a successful fair this year. I heard a lot of positive comments.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're gonna try to fix up what the storm damage did, so we'll try to get all that stuff fixed
I mean, that's the biggest question is gonna be if that fence is gonna be somewhat up by January, so that's gonna be, or we're gonna have to come up with some kind of,
Well, we're hoping as long as
Yeah.
the weather holds out. If the weather holds out, I think they should be able to get that in. The only question I got is, we had a little discussion yesterday at facilities about the truck pull when they, took down the fence,
yeah,
and how we're gonna try to resolve that from them taking down that fence. And I guess the only way is to put some reinforcement in there, so they won't hit it.
I mean, we've already put a pile of sand there to try and deter them.
Yep,
And the only, next thing, take it, the next step would be, we'd have to put some cement barriers or some post and guard, but the
Yep.
guy hates to do that, cause then, I mean, somebody could probably potentially get hurt then.
yeah,
So, I mean, it's just
yeah.
it's a kind of a losing battle, double-edged sword on what you can
Right.
do there to try and prevent it. The fence has been fixed,
Yeah.
so
Yep. Okay,
I think it got taken care of a week or two ago, so.
any other questions?
No.
No?
No, I'll piggyback off of Lou though, saying you guys did a great job and a lot of compliments on the fairgrounds and what you guys all did, and appreciate all the work.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing the information, and
All right,
Thanks, Dave.
have a good day, and hopefully that the winter one will work out really good for you guys, so.
I hope so too.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Public Works.
Good morning.
Morning, Lauren.
Lauren.
Our first item on the agenda is the item that we spoke about at the last meeting, where it was a request to purchase a 2024 pickup truck. The background is that we have a truck that's in need of repair or replacement. Actually, it's a 2007 Chevy 1500 pickup truck with about 230,000 miles. At the last meeting, I shared that we reached out to our state bid vendors and received the following quotes, one from Carl Chevrolet for a Chevy and a Midway Ford from Roseville. At that point in time, we had a good discussion on whether we could obtain this truck locally. So I reached out to a local vendor in Staples, Naya Chevrolet, and they gave us a quote, but unfortunately, they weren't really within the realm of the state bid number. So therefore, we're bringing back a very similar board action form, and our options are to approve the purchase of a 2024 Chevrolet 1500 from Carl Chevrolet of Enki, Iowa, for $44,920.94 per the attached state bid quote, or do not approve the purchase of a pickup truck at this time, and our recommendation is to move forward with the purchase of the Chevy truck from Enki, Iowa, as stated in the attached quote.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Danny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nazca. Discussion.
I just want to thank you, Lauren, for reaching out.
Oh,
The
no problem. I'm
Staples.
happy to do it. Wish we
Yeah.
could,
I wish we could have
With
too,
local,
but we have to do the low bid, so.
but with that difference in price, I think we're obligated to go with that state bid.
Right.
Right. Okay. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
All right, our second item on the agenda today is a final payment request or authorization for a 2023 highway construction contract. And this contract was with Knife River Corporation for projects on County Road 11, County Road 38, 66, and other various patches throughout our county highway system. Our two options are to approve or not approve the attached resolution, and our recommendation is to approve the attached resolution, making final payment to Knife River Corporation for $310,000, $310,474.07.
Okay. Heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
All right. Our third item on the agenda today is, the title is Support for the City of Long Prairie's Local Road Improvement Program Funding Application. And at this point in time, I'm going to invite Ted Gray, the city administrator from Long Prairie, and Kent Lawaji from Bolton and Mink. Kent works for the engineering firm of Bolton and Mink and represents the city on other engineering projects. So the background with this is very similar to the funding that we applied for. This, we got approval from the board a number of months ago for the LRIP program for County Road 48 out by the airport. This is the portion of that bill and the bonding bill that the cities can apply for. So with this program, then the city would apply for the money, and if they were so receive the money, they'd have to work with a state aid agency, which would be the county, and we'd sponsor them and basically act as their fiscal agent. At no point in time will there be money coming from the county, but we just help them through the process since they currently are not a state aid city. So with that, I'll hand it over to these gentlemen, and they can kind of run you through the program and run you through the project and answer any questions if you have them.
Go ahead, Ken.
Okay, thanks, Lauren. Good morning.
Morning.
The Local Road Improvement Program is a program that MnDOT manages. It provides financial assistance for local road construction on projects with local, regional, or statewide significance. Eligible projects support economic development, strengthen core business districts, improve freight movement, and provide benefits to a trunk highway or county road, or improve connections to a regional tourist destination. And the maximum grant award under this program is $1.5 million, which can be used for construction costs. So the project that the city is considering and preparing an application for is on First Street South, from Lake Charlotte Road north towards 6th Avenue, and on 8th Avenue between Highway 71 and First Street. So, yeah, I see the map on the screen there. The blue area you see is currently paved, and the project would replace that pavement. And the pink area on the south end is currently a gravel surface by Rosen Fields down towards Lake Charlotte Road. And the project would improve that section of the road to be a paved road with curb and gutter and storm sewer. And as Lauren mentioned, since Long Prairie is not a state aid city, the city is requesting that the county board consider adopting the resolution of support on behalf of the city.
So if I may add to that, if they were awarded that money, we'd then prepare a cooperative agreement with them and help them through that process. It's a very similar cooperative agreement we have with all our other cities and townships to help them through this process. And it lays out the roles and responsibilities. And they're familiar with that. We've done a couple of projects with them, and I have full confidence that we can deliver a good project with them and work through the whole process.
Okay. So you want to read the board action then?
Yeah, so with that, I guess our options are to approve the attached resolution or do not approve the attached resolution. And our recommendation this time is to approve the attached resolution, offering our support to the city of Long Prairie in their LRIP application for the project that he listed.
Okay. Heard the request. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution.
Motion by Noska. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff Allen.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Morning, Sheriff Al.
Got two board actions for you this morning. First one, Sheriff's Office applied for and received a grant for the 2024 Bolton Water Grant Season for an amount of $5,296. Options to accept that 2024 Bolton Water Grant or do not accept the 2024 Bolton Water Grant. And the recommendation is to approve the 2024 Bolton Water Grant for the amount of $5,296. That would need a board signature.
Okay. You've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So move to accept the grant.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Denny. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
And the second board action, again, needs the board's signature. Sheriff's Office has contracted with the following cities to provide law enforcement coverage at the rate of $45 per hour. Those cities include Bertha, Browerville, Bertram, Clarissa, Eagle Bend, Gray Eagle, and Hewitt. The option is to accept the 24 law enforcement city contracts or do not accept the 2024 law enforcement city contracts. And our recommendation is to approve the 2024 law enforcement monthly city contracts at the rate of $45 per hour for the following cities. And the hours of Bertha, 60 hours, Browerville, 60 hours, Bertram, 12 hours, Clarissa, 30 hours, Eagle Bend, 60 hours, Gray Eagle, 44 hours, and Hewitt, 10 hours.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Noska. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Denny. Discussion.
Yes, I was wondering, Mr. Chair, I see that Bertha lowered their hours. Did any of the other cities lower their hours or not?
Clarissa lowered theirs as well.
Okay,
Chairman, and there was a discrepancy on the Browerville one. They were charged weekly, and we just made it universal, so it's a monthly charge. So those extra 2 or 3 weeks per year, they'll be saving on that cost. But
Okay.
it's essentially the same by going just a monthly rate to make it easier for clerical.
right.
Mr. Chair, if I may, that $45, that's, we're on the low end of the spectrum, aren't we on that?
It varies, Commissioner. Some are higher, some are non-existent. Sure. It's kind of wide open with the city contracts. Okay. Depending on which county you talk with. We've made an extensive search at neighboring counties, and they run all over. This is a 2-year contract. It's typically a 2-year contract, but it wasn't renewed 2 years ago, and so we were stagnant at the same price as we were 4 years ago. Sure. This is a slight increase, and we had discussions with all the cities, and they thought 45, along with the board having conversations, thought that 45 was a good step for this contract.
Okay, perfect.
I have one question.
Yes.
West Union.
West Union, we have not contracted with in the past.
Right.
And I'm not sure why that is, Commissioner. I don't know that answer.
Maybe they don't want law enforcement. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that answer. It was never on our radar that I'm aware of.
Has
from
anybody ever asked the
past
council?
administrations? Not that I'm aware of. I don't know. These are the cities that have been contracted for as long as I've been with the department. I'm not sure why West Union isn't in this group.
Okay.
Certainly should reach out to them and make contact and see what their
If they
requests
would be
are.
interested, they're going to either yes or no.
Yeah, I know we don't provide law enforcement. I mean, we provide emergency services like we would at any municipality.
Right.
But we do not, if they have a dog barking complaint, we don't provide that service because we're not in contract with them.
Okay.
And so we should probably be reaching out to them as well.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair, if I may say, we did find this through the Finance Committee this
Yeah,
summer.
we did.
And I want to thank Sheriff Allen because his first time through the Finance Committee, we kind of made him jump through the hoops and we kind of brought the hammer down on him a little bit and made him go back to these cities. So thank you for doing that. I mean,
It'll
I
be
know it
better
was a
in 2
tough-
years. I'm hoping anyway.
So I thank him for that because that wasn't a fun
That's why he
conversation.
did a 2-year contract.
It'll be better next time.
I just wanted to thank him because he did have to go do all the legwork on getting this
Right.
updated.
Yeah. Any other discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff. Okay, solid waste.
Good morning,
Morning.
Chair and Commissioners. Our first item here is for the film plastic collection program. So you may remember in about 2021, the counties of Todd, Wadena, and Otter Tail applied for and received a grant for $232,000 to start up a film plastic program. And that money was used to buy some additional bins and also to purchase a front-load packer truck to collect the film plastic. When we did that, we communicated to the waste generators and recyclers that we're gonna do it at no charge in the beginning and get our feet on the ground. And that they should expect that we'll be asking for there to be a cost share. So now we're looking at the 2024 year, and we've reviewed the costs, and we'd like to recommend to charge a $25 per pickup fee. And so that means if they want us to come and empty the bin on our route, we'd come that one time and pick it up. So we do a route about once a month, so we actually have kind of a communication process where we text back and forth. It's through a service, so if they text and they want it, they would get charged $25 per pickup, and that's per bin. So if they're a big farm and they had like 3 bins, then it'd be $75. And this is based on, you know, the numbers we see, it's costing about $50 per pickup, and so the idea here is a 50-50 split. We also are recommending to add some fees for when they deliver the material to the Browerville transfer station. And the idea there is to, honestly, it's to encourage them to have it picked up at their farm, because there's a lot going on at the facility, and we'll take it, but it's just in some ways more of a convenience for everyone if it just gets picked up at their farm with the bin. So that would be $5 per cubic yard for non-recyclable plastic and $3 per yard for the film plastic. That's what we have. So any questions or looking to get your feedback? Our recommendation is to approve this fee schedule, and the other option would be to not approve it.
So your recommendation is to approve collection service of $25 per pickup? Okay. Okay, you've heard the request.
Mr. Chair, can I have some discussion on this?
Okay.
This fee, is that going to Todd County or is that going to Otter Tail County? And I find the letter, you know, I read the letter, which is on Todd County letterhead, but it's signed by Otter Tail County.
That's right. So maybe just step back to the beginning. Todd County entered into a partnership agreement
correct.
with Otter Tail County.
Yep.
So in that agreement, we agreed to manage the program for you. The $25 would be paid to Todd County.
Okay.
But at the end of the year, what we've done is we send a report to Wadeen and Todd, and we report all the costs, and then we split them based on the number of pickups performed. So in a given year, if there's 500 pickups performed, it's just a random example, but if 50 of those 500 were performed in Todd County, then Todd County would pay 10% of the cost. So we're considering each pickup equal in cost. Does that make sense?
Okay. Then my other question before we vote on this is we had a fee hearing, you know, public input into it, and this is after the fact of our fee hearing. So I don't quite know, how does that work?
We try to get all of our stuff in on the fee hearings. According to our ordinance, this fee does not require a public hearing. I would have liked to have gotten it in on that public fee hearing, but we weren't ready for it at that time, so.
Okay. So it's on the floor. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make the, well, one more thing first. Your billing of this, is it once a year or, okay?
That's correct, Commissioner.
Okay, so motion by Denny. There's a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Nazca. Discussion. Okay.
You know, I guess I'm concerned with that fee not being listed. How do we list it now? Do we list it still on the fee hearing? How does that work?
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Becker, maybe just a little bit of dialogue on this. We did discuss within the committee, we talked about, is this different because it's a program that you can sign up for versus a fee that is like assessed to all customers who come and use like the transfer station? So that was my question to Denise as well. Like, is this maybe a little bit different because it's a program that is specific to farm, I think?
Yep.
And you sign up for it. So I don't know if that makes it different or not.
I think in discussing with Coordinator Pelzer, we came to the agreement that it does make sense to run it that way because it's a program you're signing up for. The fee schedule is something that would be implemented to every Todd County person. If you're coming to get a copy, you're gonna pay 25 cents or whatever. This is something you're actually signing up for. It's part of the program. I would have liked to have seen some kind of disclaimer on their fee schedule, and maybe for next year, that's something they can look at, saying, if you're in this program, note these fees are.
Yeah. The other thing to me that's very confusing is the Todd County letterhead, and it's being signed by Otter Tail County.
So that letterhead could be a split letterhead? You could put both letterheads on? maybe?
Or should it not be signed by Mike also? I mean, if I would be getting this in the mail and not realizing what's going on, I guess I would question.
We're
The
happy to do whatever
legality
you
of
want.
this.
I would assume that you would like your letterhead and not Otter Tail's because, and, you know, in addition to the partnership with this, like, I'm an employee of Otter Tail County, but the two counties have a management agreement, so I serve as your solid waste director, and in that contract, your agreement is not for my services, but it's a management agreement. So we have a variety of things that we do to help, Otter Tail County has a variety of staff. For example, Cedar Walters is our public information and education person. And she does quite a few things for Mike and the facility. And what we'd like to see, and we can do it however you want, but we don't want, our perception is that your public doesn't want to see Otter Tail's letterhead. They want to see things where we're somewhat invisible and they just see Todd County doing this work.
What would happen if you put the second signature of Mike from Todd County on there?
We can do however you like.
You know, I think that if they wanted to get or had a question, then they could contact Mike at the solid waste instead of,
Our hope is to get them immediately to the person actively involved
and
in
her
the work.
signature would still be on there or the phone number, but it's just interesting.
We'll serve at your request.
Okay.
Also, if I may add, we've had a lot of activity with that letter that has been sent out. I've had multiple calls from various farmers. In past, this is about a year ago, Mr. McCon and I had a conversation regarding some of this fee structure. And the one thing, when we started taking that bale wrap that wasn't included, we had issues with that. So a lot of farmers were bringing it to the transfer station. So they were being charged a garbage weight, which is way more, and that was a considerable interest of the farmers because of the cost of it. They were very happy to see a modest cost of a cubic yard rate, just because a lot of times when they bring that wrap there's a lot of contamination of dirt in that product. So they were paying way higher fees where this is gonna be a lot more addressable for them as far as what we're handling with that product. So I had a lot of positive feedback with that letter regarding at least the fee structure of that. It's a lot more, to me, is a lot more fair than when we were charging them actual garbage weight, because there was a lot of straw, debris, mud in there in the spring, and they were paying for that weight. So they were excited, so I have actually gotten a lot of feedback from it.
And they were positive feedback then?
Yes, with the fee structure, very much so, yes.
Good to hear that. Okay, any other discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried, thank you. All right, budget.
Okay, next one. So in years past, I've been reminded in December that the solid waste department is required to bring its own budget to you for approval because we're an enterprise fund and our operations are not funded by the general levy, but more by the revenue we generate from tipping fees and from the parcel fee that's applied to commercial and residential properties. So we have before you a summary of our budget that was presented throughout the year, and we've attended the different meetings. And if you would go to the next page, the 2024 proposed budget has a revenue of $3,296,900, and the expected or budget expenses is $3,279,550. If it went as it's shown here, there's more revenue than expenses. We'd end the year with $17,350 in the bank account. So we're open for your questions and comments.
Want to do comment before I have them read the board action?
No.
Okay, you want to read the board action into record, please?
I'm sorry.
Read the board action
Yes,
into
sir.
record.
The board action options are to approve the 2024 budget for solid waste department with the attached resolution, or do not approve the 2024 budget. Our recommendation to the board is the Todd County Board of Commissioners approves the following, or approve the 2024 budget for the solid waste department with the attached resolution.
Okay, now you've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Denny. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the last item that we have before you today is the purchase of our Excel recycle baler, something that we have talked in the past with our committee as well. The current baler system that is there is a 1998 model, and it's well seen its use. So we've received 2 bids from Apex Equipment in Mound, Minnesota, at a price of $261,820 with a lead time of 30 weeks. The second was from Marin Manufacturing of South Holland, Illinois. The bid was $272,020 with a lead time of 38 weeks. The purchase was discussed within our solid waste committee and was to authorize the purchase of the Excel baler system through Mound, Minnesota. The one advantage of that is that equipment is purchased and built in Minnesota, so the service rate is really good on it. And also there was no fee for shipping and setup. The other company was charging $5,020 for shipping, and also they were gonna charge $3,500 to send people up to train and use the equipment as well. Also Apex, because it's a recurring same product, they were allowing us a trade-in value of $7,500 for the current baler system that we have. So our option is to approve the purchase of the Excel baler system or do not approve. It is our recommendation to the commissioners to approve this baler purchase in the amount of $254,320.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Denny. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. Let's just hope the old baler holds out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hanging in there.
Okay? Any other discussion? If none,
I know you wanted to approve that really bad, but I just wouldn't have done it.
any other discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving along. Planning and zoning.
Good morning.
Morning.
First item here is a request for rezoning of parcel 25004300. This application to rezone parcel 25004300 in Villard Township from R2 to commercial was submitted on October 13th. The application was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the November 2nd public hearing, and the final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to grant the rezone with the conditions below. Options are to grant the rezone with conditions, deny the rezone, or remand it back to the planning commission. Recommendation is to adopt the findings of the planning commission and grant the rezone of parcel 2500043000 from R2 to commercial with the following conditions. 1, that future driveway accesses must be approved by MnDOT, and 2, that future development of the property must comply with the Minnesota Wetland Conservation Act.
Okay, for the request, is there a motion?
So move.
Motion by Becker, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Denny. Discussion.
Yes, this is right next to the Staples Hospital, right on
Yep,
10?
between the hospital and the
Rest-
city.
Right to the west of it.
Yep.
By putting it commercial, what's the housing in that area? There's a big swamp in there, correct?
Yep, there's, did I have the map included? I believe I did.
You do, but it's really so small
Yeah, I
map.
got it. Yeah, you can see coming off of 10 there,
Yeah.
probably 2/3 of that property is all wetland. The usable space is off to the west side where it looks like a field. Actually, at the planning commission hearing night, they had the wetland delineators on the site to start establishing boundaries and stuff because they're gonna likely have some impacts to purchase credits and such, so they're already going through that process. But a majority of that area is wetland, and along the road frontage of Highway 10 is already commercial, so the neighboring properties have commercial in them. And I believe the nearest neighbor would be quite a ways, maybe to the north and west a little bit, or I can't see it very well up there, but it might be that property that's just to the, to the west, yes.
They're gonna do, no doubt, gravel, there must be, or tar, because that's what they do, is road construction,
Oh,
Kabliskas.
You're asking what the reason they're
Yes.
rezoning? Because they're trying to establish a ready-mix concrete plant.
Okay,
Was there any letters for or against this?
I don't recall for sure, but I'm pretty confident we had no correspondence, and I think that night of the meeting, it was only the 2 applicants that were in the room.
Okay, because the reason I ask that is when we get the minutes, and the minutes will say,
yeah,
letters received upon request. Well, as a commissioner, I don't believe I should have to ask for that letter. That should be in a packet
Sure.
sent up to us, the 5 of us, so that we have that information. You know, we're making decisions on this by what we're seeing right here, which is not what really the planning commission sees in the
Sure.
packet.
Yep.
So the 5 of us should get that same packet, and if there's letters for or against that, that should be in that packet to the board, so we can review that, and if we have
Yep.
any questions, then we can come to you and ask.
Sure, that's no problem. We can include those when we send that email out with the minutes. The reason we don't, because we don't want to transcribe what somebody else wrote, but just attach those, we always scan them in. We can just include those in the email with the minutes in the future. That's
And
easy fix.
I understand it's a little bit more paperwork, but for us as a board, you know, we're acting on this stuff, and it's kind of, it's like, do we?
Sure.
I even find, if, Mr. Chair, if I could, I even find it very hard when I do the research to go back and find out who's actually attending the meetings, to get through your internet system is sometimes interesting.
To where we post things on our page? Okay.
Yeah, and I see that they have,
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay,
So, and I wouldn't even be opposed to just having a paper copy put here on the desk, because I'm here many times during a week, and I would just pick it up.
okay,
But I find myself spending a lot of time trying to find this information out.
sure. Well, maybe it's something we can discuss outside the meeting or wherever, of what, a bulk checklist of things you guys want us to put on your desk or whatever. That's easy for us to get
Yeah.
put somewhere.
This
Right.
ready-mix plant or whatever is not going to interfere with the hospital, correct?
No.
I mean, you're, what, a 40 away?
Yeah, so probably about a half mile-ish, I suppose. They are already working with MnDOT because they're trying to relocate the driveway they currently have. They're not gonna give them another one, from my understanding, so there'll be some changes, but a majority of the operation will be to the west side of the parcel that we're looking at up there. And this will be coming up to the planning commission in our upcoming meetings so that there'll be potentially additional conditions that can be placed on the ready mix
On
plant
the,
itself.
on the plant itself?
Correct.
And this
Yep.
is just for rezoning it?
Absolutely, yep.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Becker, second by Denny. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next.
Okay, secondly, is the Sales Estates preliminary plat. An application for a creation of a single lot plat on parcel 0600333001, Burnhamville Township, was submitted on October 9th. The application was reviewed by the Planning Commission during the November 2nd public hearing. The final recommendation from the Planning Commission was to approve the preliminary plat with no conditions. Options are to approve the preliminary plat, deny the preliminary plat, or remand it back to the Planning Commission. Recommendation is to adopt the finding of the Planning Commission and approve the preliminary plat on parcel 0600333001 with no conditions.
Okay, you've heard the request. Is there a motion?
So moved.
By Nazca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Danny. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, ladies.
Jackie, there you go, thank you.
Keep me silent. Probably would want to do that. All right, we have one board action form here in front of you as a request to hire a care coordinator. Some background. At the Commissioners' Work Session on November 7th, 2023, there was discussion held about the need for adult services for an additional RN or social worker as a care coordinator. The position provides services to individuals and communities. This position is responsible for using a holistic approach to complete individualized assessments and develops and implements plans to enhance and protect quality and dignity of life for the diverse population served, either as an RN or a social worker. Has the appropriate qualifications to complete the work. Your options are to authorize the hiring of one care coordinator or to not authorize. It is our recommendation that you authorize hiring one care coordinator for the position. This is budgeted as well.
Heard the request. Is there a motion?
So move for hiring.
Motion by Becker. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Danny. Discussion. You have none? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is on there is Commissioners, adopt changes, county coordinator job description. All right, so we've met a couple times, met again yesterday, and tried to finalize that out. So who's gonna handle this?
Well, I can just read the background if that works
Okay.
for you. So the background is at November 7th, 2023 board meeting, the county commissioners established an internal committee to discuss county coordinator job description and recruitment process and bring suggested changes to the November 21st board meeting. The internal committee has met and put forth a recommendation for the full county board's consideration. Due to the tight timeline, the final draft recommendation will be provided at the time of the board meeting. Options are to adopt the changes for the county coordinator job description and start recruitment process. 2, do not adopt changes. 3, remand back to the internal committee for further review. And the recommendation is to adopt the changes to the Todd County coordinator's job description and start recruitment process. I don't know if we had it in here. I might have to go search again. Did you want me to bring it up, what we changed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me.
we'd go, okay.
She had sent it, I'm sorry. It was in with the city contracts for the sheriff, because those were things we had after the fact, so it is here. So I don't know if it shows in color, but if you guys can walk through, maybe Jackie, if you want to come up too, and
Yeah.
I lose it now.
I would have brought my changes. Yeah, it was a good meeting, an opportunity to kind of go through this. And as we are looking at that comp worth study as well, we thought it would be a good opportunity to update this. We also went through the supplemental questions. I think, Barb, your first recommendation was
We took out the word general.
right, and that
under
was
the directions
Let me get this bigger
of
for you. if
the
that helps.
county board of commissioners. And it had, yeah,
Right
so we
here.
took that out, which gave, a little bit more for the county board. Then we went down, Jackie, what will be in the next one? I got my papers. There was some,
I think there was something about evaluations, annual evaluations will be reviewed with the county board prior to
Department heads.
a meeting
good
with,
point.
I think, department heads. So you would be involved and invited to give your feedback before the next coordinator would meet with us individually and with the board.
and then John did some with some of the duties.
Union negotiations.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's very small changes, not a lot. I
No, there
mean,
wasn't.
really, I think what we spent a lot of time on is what are you looking for in our next coordinator for experience? Really try to be sure to have a minimum that you want to see and really what your preferred is. I mean, your preferred is that candidate that everybody wants. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of them out there, I understand, but really looking at a minimum, what we want in our next coordinator, and then the preferred, kind of cleaning that up as well.
Yeah.
And I think that 5 years, so bullet 2 under minimum education experience, special requirements. The bachelor's degree with coursework in public or business administration, human resources, or related field or equivalent experience. That was a minimum, as well as 5 years' experience in local government administration position. And under preferred, I think we cleaned up that first sentence as well to match the minimum. And then 5+ years of progressive experience at a management level involving directing staff programs and significant budgets. One thing we did look at is a minimum that we would like and a preferred that we'd like them to have managed a budget of a significant amount, as well as the 10 years experience in local government. Again, that's preferred. It's what we would love to see in a candidate. The minimum is what we really want them to meet in order to apply.
Right.
I guess from sitting on the committee too, we realized we're not gonna find a candidate like we
No.
had in Coordinator Pelzer, who came with all the years of experience in county government and all her different aspects and expertise she brought into the position. So we discussed that, that's why we put emphasis on, we'd really like to see somebody with local government or county government preferably, because of the fact there's so much to this animal that just taking somebody with a 4-year degree doesn't always necessarily mean they're gonna understand the ins and outs of government
and the
versus private.
complexity of a county government is so much different than other local governments, and I don't think a lot of people realize the
Right,
intensity.
the difference between city and
Yeah.
township and, yeah. Yep.
Then I believe we
Had
took
two-
the
oh, sorry.
MIS, right?
Pardon me?
The MIS was still in this job description,
Yes, I believe
and we
so.
removed that part of it too.
Yeah,
so-
GIS,
Oh,
GIS.
Oh, excuse me,
Yes, because we had
Yes.
board action for an MIS
Yeah.
position.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
so the
so-
GIS was still sitting in here.
So we're gonna have to kind of work on where that's going to go, but, yeah.
You want to finish reading the board action, Denise?
Sorry. Just all over the place here.
Yeah,
So
because
your
it-
options are to adopt,
Yeah,
not adopt, or remand back to the committee. And it was a recommendation to adopt the changes to the coordinator position and start recruitment process.
okay, so that's the request. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Denny, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Nazca. Discussion. If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Carried. Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Jackie.
Stand-in reports. Thank you, Jackie.
For the auditor treasurer's ag taxes closed on the 15th of November. We are prepping the settlement now for the end of the month. We're working on pre-audit because they will be coming in December. They've already sent the checklist of what to be working on. We're in the final steps of that special election that was held, and they'll now complete. Certificate of election was handed to newly elected Commissioner Byers today, and on that same note, he will be sworn in prior to the Truth and Taxation meeting Tuesday night, November 28th. The meeting starts at 6, but we're having clerk of courts come over and swear him in at 5:45. So he can take fun in the TNT meeting. What a way to start. Oh, it's pretty dirty pool. And that's all I have. We're just busy with year end and wrapping stuff up and finalizing some things. And then we will be into holiday week, and before we know it, we'll be at AMC in the first part of
Yes.
December.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
So John's not here, so we're gonna go right to the coordinator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. County Attorney does send his regrets that he wasn't able to attend this morning. So for my report, on November 8th, we had department head meeting. November 9th, we had a solid waste committee meeting, and after that, we met for the recycling grant. Chris McCon, myself, and Mike Aberly did for the MPCA recycling grant that we worked on with Region 5. That did get submitted, so thank you for your special meeting on that. After that, I had a webinar on ESST, the Earn Sick and Safe Time. That evening, I had a broadband coalition meeting, and then on November 13th, we had personnel committee meeting. I met with Legacy Finance, Representative Backer and Representative Weiner to discuss additional funding for the rock wall. We had a policy committee meeting and a wellness committee meeting, and then on the 14th, I had a CPT meeting regarding ESST and a CPT software committee meeting, Sourcewell Local Government Advisory Committee meeting, and I was not able to attend the opioid advisory meeting because of a different meeting conflict. On the 20th, we had the fall road meeting yesterday with Public Works, and then a facilities committee meeting. Did want to also update, I've been working with Kathy Langer on the STS building and her response from FEMA. She's still waiting on that, so that's why she didn't attend today to give an update on the building. So that's all I have to report.
Okay. Commissioners. Commissioner Denny.
Yep, had, obviously I did the solid waste one with Coordinator Pelzer, and then we did our special meeting at Prairie Lakes and Clay County. Had a Hilltop Kitchen one, Public Works yesterday, and Library Board. We've been trying to go through a bunch of policies and changes there with what all the new things are happening nowadays with what's availability for books in the library, and so making policy changes is something we haven't done in a very long time. So it's being considered very thoughtful process, and we're going to continue that tonight with the meeting down there. So, but everything else was business as usual for those other meetings.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Becker.
On the 8th, we had department head meeting. On the 9th, we had the soil and water meeting up at Staples, and that's their planning meeting that they have that day. And that afternoon, I had Rainbow Rider, and it was interesting because at Rainbow Rider, we're putting up a new bus garage in Alec, and right now, the cost, they figure, is rising by 3% every month that we do not get it built. That's how much it's going up. So we're in the process of, we cut the building down once to make the bid. Now we're in the process of probably going to have to cut it one more time in order to make the same bid. So the building keeps getting smaller as the cost keeps rising. Let's see, then on the 13th, we canvassed the ballots, and we had personnel, policy, and then that evening, we had a public health meeting, which we have, what, 4 of them a year, Jackie, I believe?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, it was good, it was in Staples. And then on the 15th, we had the Morrison, Todd, Wadena County HB. I had a regional transportation Zoom meeting. Tad from Region 5 takes care of that meeting, which is really interesting. And how, especially Crow Wing County is seeing a lot of problems with their volunteer drivers and a lot of input being put in on that regional as far as volunteer drivers and even getting vehicles, different ways of getting vehicles, let the volunteer driver drive a county-owned or regional-owned vehicle other than using their own for transportation. Then yesterday, we had road meeting, facility meeting, and last night I had corrections, and we went through their union negotiations last night. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Noska.
Well, I was out all last week out of state, so I missed a few meetings. Other than that, just like most people had said, the roads meeting yesterday.
Okay. All right, I had department head meeting on the 8th, solid waste on the 9th, because I have a conflict with soil and water to drive up to Staples, and by the time I would have got back to my solid waste meeting, I would have been late. So anyways, it's solid waste, and then Rainbow Rider. On the 13th, did canvassing right away. We had a personnel meeting, we had a special board meeting, we had a policy meeting, and public health meeting. And I think that was a record for me. I think that was like 5 meetings in one day. It was like, wow, 8 to 8. So, Tuesday, we had a coordinator recruiting. On Wednesday, we had an opioid meeting. Again, there's like 218,000 with that opioid money, and if you know anybody that needs help with that, please contact Catherine McIndance, and we'll go from there. Okay, and then yesterday, on the 20th, we had a road meeting at 9, facilities, and then again, we finished up in the afternoon on the coordinator recruiting, reviewing the job description. And then tonight, I have a meeting at the Sauk River Watershed in Sauk Center. So that's all I have. So is there anything else that needs to come in front of this board?
Mr. Chair, I think Denise, on Tuesday, we have a meeting. We have the swearing in, and then we have the,
Yeah, I spoke of that. So Tuesday night, the 28th,
yeah,
we have our truth and taxation meeting here,
yep,
and that starts at 6 PM.
Yeah.
At 5:45,
yeah.
the
we'll
clerk
have
of
the-
courts will come over, swear in the new commissioner, and
Will be
take his
swearing
oath
in.
of office, and he will be placed on the pulpit next to you guys. Yes, but that meeting is Tuesday night at 6 PM. And our phones have been busy, not overly busy. I don't know if you have, but it's been manageable. And I'm working with a short staff this week, and it's been manageable, so I'm okay with it. So we'll see what happens Tuesday night. I did say on our night, as we did in the past during COVID, we encourage appointments just so we can know how many are coming, and we haven't had anybody sign up yet, so.
Okay.
Again, it's just on budgets, that's all they can discuss. They can't talk about their taxes, they cannot talk about market value, they cannot talk about classification. They can only inquire about the county's budget and how you spend your money. That's it.
Okay, and I'd like to have Sheriff Allen at that meeting, if you would, please, so.
Jeez.
That's why it gets a little interesting. Okay. If nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn for the month of November.
So moved.
Motion by Nazca. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Becker. Discussion. If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We are adjourned. We will start the work session. All right. We ready, Denise? Okay. Okay. Thought I'd ask.
Jeez.
Gonna get Barb on the road.
I think Jackie's leaving.
I know.
Tim is leaving.
Oh, are you too?
Yep.
Where are you off to?
Montana.
Montana? Oh, so I'm in North Dakota, I'm a half hour from the Montana and a half hour from the
Probably should
Canadian
carpool.
side, so.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's call the Tuesday, November 21st, 2023, Todd County Board of Commissioners Work Session to order. On the agenda today, we have Children's Mental Health Social Worker Discussion. So Jackie, take it away.
Derek, thank you, Commissioner. So we are here in front of you as we look at our program with children's mental health and our intakes and our caseload sizes as we come to you as a part of our process when we need an additional position to present the information in front of you to make an informed decision. And then hopefully we'll be able to go to the board in the next couple of weeks. But we took on children's mental health as a program back in 2018. It was our plan then I think initially started with one position and then added along as the years have passed and our intakes have been growing. This children's mental health, and just to kind of give some background for Commissioner Noska, Commissioner Denny, and soon to be our new commissioner, Byers, that this is a program that really keeps some of the services in-house in Todd County, but able to best manage these clients, these children, with some of the mental health needs that they have. From this point on, I'm going to hand it over to Derek, as he is our children's mental health supervisor, our child services supervisor. John Matson, who is our manager since his regrets, he is off on for a few days and is spending some time with his family, so.
Yeah, so I mean, children's mental health, we've taken that over in county, and I think that we've seen a lot of progress with the service delivery through that to partnering with child protection and families that we know are coming into the county through reports or different things like that. Being able to work that in-house has been quite helpful for child protection purposes, law enforcement purposes, all of those different things too, with our agencies working together more directly. But mental health is going to be an issue that we're going to be continuing to service for years to come. And in the last year, we've seen, I just looked at the numbers, and we've had 66 intakes. We've opened 40 cases for case management services. We've netted an additional 13 cases from last year, which is approximately one more caseworker. So statute says that a caseworker should have 15 cases. Our workers currently are averaging 18 to 19 cases. And so we're over that limit and really need to hire another worker to support the needs of our county. And as I said, in this last year, we've already, and the year's not over yet, we've had 13 additional cases, which is showing that we're going to need that extra support. And I know our workers are feeling it too in the services that they're delivering. It takes a lot of time and effort to work with these families, work through crises, support them, create good plans that are, well thought out and catered to each child and family. And so having the time and availability to do that is important. And so that those services are successful as well. The position does pay for itself through children's mental health targeted case management and additionally child welfare targeted case management, and we can bill both for the crossover cases of child protection and children's mental health so that we can be reimbursed through that.
One thing I'm just gonna add on, Derek, excuse me, but we might have higher caseloads right now, but we are not rewarded for having high caseloads. Actually, our the payment structure coming from the state actually gives us a reduced payment with higher caseloads. So really our target is to really stay around that 13 to 15 or our incoming dollars reduce, not increase. So, which is why when we get to those higher caseload sizes, not only for our staff, but for our clients, we like to come back to you and share that with you.
Yeah, and I think that, it's important that those services are being catered to the families, and it takes a lot of time to do that. And so when we have these high caseloads, it's difficult for our workers to manage that, and they carry that weight too. But, you know, the cost saving as well associated with the positions is you're saving residential placements, you're saving out-of-home placements, which cost, you know, I mean, residential placements cost $362 a day for one child. And so, and typically those are long-term. They're not, you know, they can be 6 to 9 months to 12 months ongoing. And so it's really important that we prevent that as much as we can. And Children's Mental Health is a proactive service for the most part. And so it's one of those opportunities to get in there and intervene early.
And that's one thing you do see when the auditor comes in. He's like, wow, you guys have really low out-of-home placement costs. And it's really, I think, due to the work of our management team and really trying to, and our social workers in the programs to try to best manage these kids and keep them out of crisis. We're fortunate that our out-of-home placement costs are low, but it's, like I said, it's really due to the work that's put into these families before they get to crisis. So it saves us in the long run as well, so our return on investment is great.
Yeah, I think at the last meeting that there were some questions surrounding suicide rate, the male to female ratios, and kind of like the population clusters too. And so I went back and looked at some of that, and the state average for suicide rates for youth 10 to 14 was 2.5%, and this was in 2021 that the most recent study was provided through DHS. 15 to 19 years of age was 11%, and then you see a jump in 20 to 24-year-olds that is at 18%. And part of what we do too is help transition youth to adulthood as well, and so some of those numbers can be impacted by the services that we're providing as well. In our county, we see, it looks like that's pretty on par with state averages too, is that the female to male ratio. So there's 2 males to every 1 female client currently in Todd County. And it looks similar to that when it comes to like suicide rate charts and so forth too. And so that's kind of where our numbers are at with those types of topics. And then, you know, our target audience, I think, is we get a bigger portion coming from like the Staples-Motley area. I think part of my understanding of that is that here in Long Prairie, we have some cultural influences that I think affect that too regarding mental health and seeking services and seeking that support or trusting in those systems too to a certain degree. You know, and I think that that's making strides forward, but it's still an obstacle that we're kind of working through here in Todd County too, because for the most part, Children's Mental Health is a voluntary service too, so we have to have families to buy in. So we see a lot of our clients coming out of the Staples-Motley area, but most of Todd County.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I could, Jackie, we also talked about this. This is a brand-new position. It's
Yes, it is.
and it's not replacing, and that's why we've gone through the hoops as you have been going through, so.
Because it
yeah.
is, yes,
And
correct.
it really shows the need when you have to start adding employees, because we haven't done that for quite some time.
I want to say
Yeah.
pre-COVID.
Yeah,
I can speak to the last new hire, or the position that was filled for Kelsey Hoffman too. She is already at a caseload size of 13 right now, and we still have a little time to go. And I know we have another case referral that's going to qualify. And I mean, so she's almost at her max already. And so it's just showing that these intakes are coming in at a pretty rapid pace for Todd County right now.
And the cases, the intakes that are coming in around children's mental health is quite intensive as well. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, you know, the workers themselves, and, you know, I come from a child protection background too, prior to filling this position. And so, you know, we've seen an increase in intensity of what these symptoms and behaviors are too. You know, I think there's a lot of access to information. There's, you know, a lot more pressure on kids nowadays too, to be certain ways or perform certain ways or these different things, you know, too, and that it's affecting kids, and the intensity of the behaviors we've just seen a spike in that as well. And so I know the workers have spoke to that relentlessly too, that it's getting more and more intense. So, and a lot of the load of, I think, the state system too, and the resources we have falls on children's mental health workers as well, because the resources are limited for facilities, PRTFs, residential settings, partial hospitalization settings, all those things. you know, there's only so many beds for these kids, and we can't always get them in right away. And so a lot of this falls on the mental health workers to help support the families in crisis. And
I've heard from my fellow directors across the state that when placing these kids with high needs, it's gone all the way to the East Coast to place them, because there are very limited placement for these kids with high needs and behaviors and other medical needs that they have. So the more that we can do to invest in them early, to keep them out of placement is best for both.
yeah, if I could make just one more point too, is that these cases don't just open and close a lot of times either. You know, we have cases open from 2018, cases that were transferred from 2015. I saw one was on a caseworker, and that was predating our service, but I think it was a Todd County agreement for that. But these cases will stay open with these kids. So if we start with them when they become age eligible, they could potentially be with that caseworker through age 18, even up to you know, past that too. So depending on the situation. So I think that's something that's important to keep in mind.
So I got a question. So do we keep track of like the age groups? What is our biggest age group that we're dealing with? Is it like from 12 to 15? You know, 5 to 8? You know what I'm saying? I mean, do we have like a graph or anything that we can show what age group is being affected the most within Todd County?
Yeah, I could put that together to present to you. You know, I would speak to that. Traditionally, it was probably more the teenage, adolescent age groups. I think that age is coming down as time goes on, as kids are exposed to more at younger ages. Currently, we've seen, you know, go ahead.
You're starting to see younger kids with cell phones, which is social media, which is, yeah, dangerous.
Yeah, very.
So, interesting.
Yep.
We'll get that information. I'll have Derek put that together and send that out to you as soon as he gets it prepared. We'll get it to you.
Okay. So, Tim and Lou, we went through the process through personnel. And now we're bringing it to the work session to have that discussion, because this is a new employee.
Yep.
So, and it's highly needed because it is expanding.
Yeah.
And I think it's just gonna get worse. So,
I think that's the pendulum swing at this point.
Yeah.
I hope someday it swings back,
Right.
but the swing is in the opposite direction as we speak.
and I understand where the social workers are. You know, if you're dealing with 40 kids, that's a lot, and you should be dealing with 13 to 15, you know, and you take that stuff home. And it gets overwhelming.
Mr. Chair, if I could just add a little bit. I think when this started in 18, the discussion was that there would be potentially up to 3 staff.
Right.
And you are now at 5
Right,
and adding a 6th.
right.
Yeah, so there is a great need.
Yeah. So it just keeps growing.
And it's not just us either. Northern Pines, we have monthly meetings with too, and they're at capacity as well. So,
So as a county board, what, you know, besides hiring more individuals to cut the numbers down, what else can we do?
It's that prevention we talk about. We talk so frequently about is investing in our kids and our families, your constituents. You know, for every dollar that we invest, we do get back in return significantly. It's really try to stay ahead of that curve before they get to crisis, which could become very, very costly for us as a county. And not only, you know, costly for us, but, you know, these kids are being placed counties and states away from their family. And what our goal is to get them back to their families and back to their communities and keep them within their schools and try to have some normalcy within their life. That's the, you know, it's unfortunate that that's the trend today, but the more that we can reinvest in these kids is gonna pay off in the long run.
I can add to that too just a little bit lately. As a region, we've been talking about a SIBS program and different deliveries of service to families and what that looks
SIBS.
like. Yep, so SIBS is it's a more intensive therapy in the home to teach skills to families in the home setting and really identify, what the barriers to these crises are and keeping kids at home. And so it's kind of a move away from the traditional residential placements to focusing on how can we keep the kid at home, more significantly. And so I think that it's more about the service delivery and that the state, I think, is recognizing that we need to figure out something that works better. Because these long-term residential placements, these kids are out of the home, they're out of the family system for long periods of time, and that success rate is not great.
That program is what Sourcewell invested in on one of their impact fundings for the Region 5. And they invested quite a bit of money with our request, I want to say 200,000 plus. For the 5 counties to really get those services needed for those kids and families, because not only are we working with the children, but we're also working with the family, and at that right time. So it may look different from one family or child to the next, to really try to reinvest in and offer resources when needed.
Are families accepting your coming in and helping them? Do they see the need in their children, or are they putting on blinders and pretending it's not happening?
I would say that,
Probably a mixed
open to
bag.
it?
yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. I would think that, sometimes they're willing to hear you out, and then once you can get in the home and talk about things you can do and give them some tools and skills to utilize, they can see the difference sometimes, and I think that creates that buy-in. And so I think, the more that we're present and providing these services in the community, the more it's going to be normalized too and accepted, and I think we're on that path.
We are getting referrals from families, from parents. We're getting referrals from the schools, our healthcare providers. We're getting them from all angles. But when we get them from families, that they're really, really struggling. And typically, if they're struggling in school, they're struggling at home. So
Good.
All right, well, bring this to the board on our December 7th meeting, and we'll make that decision then.
perfect. Thank you for your time.
All right,
Thank you guys.
Travel safe.
Yeah, you too.
And with that, thank everybody, and we are done. Have a great day. And you have a nice
Thanksgiving to
birthday.
all.
Tomorrow, right? Whoa.
When's yours, Randy?
Tomorrow?
So,
Really?
yeah.
Taking the day off?
Barking too.
Yeah. Really?